I read that there's a book coming called Stonewalled, One Reporter's Fight for Truth in Obama's Washington. Is that true?
You read correctly, yes.
When is it due?
That should be published November 4th. That's the current schedule.
Are you finished with it?
Not quite, no. I'm on a pretty tight deadline.
When did you start it?
Well, I've been thinking, like everybody at CBS and pretty much in this business that I know, we all are writing books at all times. You've always got one in the back of your head. So I guess I've thought about a lot of issues facing journalism today, issues that I specifically faced, I've thought about for quite some time. But I was approached by a number of different literary agents and people in the last couple of years who were interested in hearing more about it, so I guess I started thinking about it in a more formalized sense.
Another person that retired was Lisa Myers from NBC. She appeared on this show last week. Let's watch a little bit of what she said about journalism.
Well, I think journalism at its best is a matter of holding powerful people and institutions accountable and exposing injustice. I fear today that we're not doing that enough, that there's too much attention to, we're too driven by social media, which is important, but I think it's come to dominate a lot of decisions about coverage when we ought to spend a little more time digging and providing new information to the viewers.
I'm with her 100%. We're on the same wavelength. I was surprised when I went to an investigative reporting conference. I was asked to present or moderate a panel a month or two ago out in LA at Berkeley, and wasn't sure how I'd be received because the spin by those who want to try to controversialize me and discredit the reporting that I do that targets them is so strong and takes such a hold, especially in the social media, and not sure what the other journalists think. And I was so warmly welcomed, and so many people, I didn't see Lisa there, but people on her caliber and at her level shared their stories with me, similar things, similar observations. I'm talking about Pulitzer Prize winners, other Emmy Award winners. These are prominent journalists who are suffering sort of the same sorts of things, many of them suffering it out in their jobs and keeping their jobs while they do it, but all making similar observations, as Lisa just said.
Give us an example of when you got mad and said, I'm tired of this.
I would just say in general that I've never been better positioned to break what I think are great original stories, and again, not just on politics, but on a broad spectrum of subjects, including corporate misdeeds and allegations that are important to consumers and taxpayers, and yet never been so terribly positioned to not get it on any broadcast. Nobody wants it. So to have whistleblowers talk to you and to be able to convince people to go out on a limb and to be able to produce what I think are some really terrific stories with great material and then have nothing to do with them is eternally frustrating. My producer and I really tried everything we could. You know, you try going, the broadcast, you kind of have to sell your story these days to which broadcast will air it. And again, the declining appetite for this kind of reporting was just all over.
Do you ever get the sense that it was a corporate decision higher above the news people that these kind of stories wouldn't go on?
It's hard to say. You do wonder. I'm not privy to those discussions, but I've talked to other journalists who, based on their observations, do think there is some of that going on. I think with particular stories that's been the case. If there are a set of stories that, and I'll talk about this I think a little bit in the book, that hits a set of advertisers that are very valuable to a company or corporation, there is some discouragement to follow that path of story.